And welcome back to Nonprofit Live TV. I'm Thomas Aitchison. In this segment, we are talking about online advocacy. And two folks joining us, experts in the area, Ben Rattray with Change.org, and Chris Burley, the Director of Online Campaigns with Defenders of Wildlife. Guys, thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for having us.
Ben, online advocacy, certainly a topic you're very familiar with.
Every day.
And the significance that technology plays in bringing about social change. So go ahead and give us a snapshot of the past year and the world of online advocacy as it applies to the nonprofit marketplace.
Yeah, so I think there's a lot of discussion right now about commentary outside the nonprofit space. Malcolm Gladwell recently wrote a post in the New Yorker talking about the ineffectiveness to some extent of social media and its capacity to advance online advocacy. I think what it misses and what lots of people don't fully understand is the extent to which an organizing entity is the essential component to running an effective campaign. And so I think that, we're in an exciting point now where, having seen what happened in the 2008 campaign, the Obama campaign, the potential is massive. There are fits and starts in many cases. I think a lot of people are finally getting a sense of the strategy required to match the technology to be able to do something special. And we see more and more examples of that over the past 12 months, but especially going forward, of being able to have an effective online-offline campaign that matters.
Sure. As technology becomes more sophisticated, what have you seen in terms of participation rates and the number of people taking actions on causes that perhaps they may not have otherwise even had anything to do with?
Yeah, so it's difficult to have sort of a broad-based evaluation since, looking at the data of what might have been, but what's really clear is peer-to-peer communication is the primary mechanism for acquiring new people for a given cause. And given the radical increase in overall distribution on platforms like Facebook, we have almost 500,000 people every month coming to our site via Facebook. It's very clear that kind of personal connection and distribution enabled by social media brings a lot of other people who wouldn't otherwise been connected to that cause.
Good. Chris, tell us about Defenders of Wildlife and give us your perspective on participation rates over the last few years and the number of people getting involved with your organization and taking actions on your behalf.
Well, we've seen a consistent inclination to take action on our campaigns, and one of the things that as Ben was saying, there's certainly a lot of energy, particularly on the progressive left, towards making a difference. And while there is this sort of cynicism on some parts, we're not seeing it in the numbers. When we start looking at participation rates, we don't see a drop-off in terms of the number of people who are taking action. The other thing that I think is interesting about this is the types of actions that people are taking. Ben and I were talking the other day about where we see people taking action on things that they see as being most relevant. So we've had several corporate-sponsored campaigns which have been highly effective, have brought a lot of new people into our cause to defend wildlife, and have seen that be very effective.
Share a little more about how Defenders uses online advocacy tools on a day-to-day or a week-to-week basis.
We run the gambit. We're constantly emailing members of Congress. We're submitting public comments on regulatory reforms. We're encouraging people to go to public hearings. We're encouraging folks to call, pick up the phone and call their members of Congress, to write a letter to the editor of their local paper. So we really run the gambit in terms of the types of engagement that we ask folks to participate in.
Never a dull moment.
Never a dull moment at all.
Well, tell us what the coming year looks like. Anything new going on the horizon based on things you've learned with all of your experience in online advocacy?
Well, it's meet the new boss. It's the same as the old boss. The big thing is going to be integration. It's going to be about making sure that you're not just doing advocacy in a vacuum. You're not just doing your work online. You're not just doing your work offline. If you're sending members of Congress an email, you're also making sure you have a lobbyist up there talking to them. You're also making sure that you're getting constituents in to visit them. You're also making sure that you have your constituents calling them. And really, with so many people engaging in advocacy these days, that's really the only way that you can cut through the noise. So that's really the big trend, I think, that is going to make people be successful in the advocacy sphere.
Ben, add to that thought, year ahead, trends we should expect to see in online advocacy across the space.
Integration by far, hugely important thing. I think the most exciting thing for us right now, local campaigning, hyper-local campaigning, the propensity of local targets to respond favorably as compared to members of Congress is massive. The capacity is enormous, the overall opportunity. And in addition to sort of hyper-local campaigns, national campaigns that are syndicated locally. So for example, a national campaign around something around school reform for food instead of launching a national campaign telling Congress, enabling thousands of people across their local communities to launch their own campaigns against their own school board is going to be much more effective and something we're going to be focusing on. I think a lot of organizations increasingly focus on distributed activism that's much more locally focused.
All right. Guys, thanks for your time. Thanks for joining us. And thank you for joining us. You can catch this discussion and plenty others happening here at Convio Summit 2010 online anytime at nonprofitlive.tv. I'm Thomas Aitchison. Thanks for watching.